Right, let's now go live to radio host Carrie Harrison in Florida. Carrie, thanks so much for joining us here at RT. Now, the UN General Assembly rejected Russia's proposal for a secret ballot on the draft resolution to condemn Moscow for the recent referendums. But was Russia wrong to call for this?
Well, I think Russia or anybody is within their rights to ask for whatever they want. Whether the global body agrees to it or not is probably the beauty of democracy, unless, of course, it's heavy-handed, which is being said, has been said here on this very network, has been said by many in the media. However, on the Western side of things, the general public is not aware of this. They just know that the grown-ups are getting together for an emergency meeting. It must be terrible or they wouldn't be doing it. And what's the issue? Here's the issue, and there it is. So, unfortunately, there is no consciousness in the West that helps people understand what's at stake and why stuff is being said, and to find it on a map. So, it's difficult, having complicated stuff go on when the public is chasing the Kardashians.
Very true. I mean, when we look at... OK, so let's talk about this vote. 107 countries vetoed it, said that there should be an open vote. But when we look at it, I mean, Russia clearly wanted a secret vote or a closed vote, so there wouldn't be pressure from, Western, I know we say Western countries, but the Western side of this narrative to vote against what Russia's been doing in Ukraine. What's your take on that?
Well, my sense is this. Because the stakes are so high, because so many different nations are involved and people from around the world are watching this through different prisms, different lenses, with different appetites, different hopes for outcomes, I think transparency and the sunlight of public display is probably the best cure. The more secrecy, the more hidden stuff, the less people trust the outcome. So, just like most governments that function well, you do stuff in public, and then the leaders who make those decisions become accountable to the people who elected them, assuming it's a democracy, and put them in there to represent them as their voices. So I don't think secrecy is going to be helpful here, since nobody trusts anybody anywhere anymore.
That's true. I mean, you make a valid point, but why the secret ballot? I mean, of course, the US and the UK and the EU, they do business with a lot of countries. Now, if these countries, perhaps they want to do business with Russia or maybe more inclined to move towards, what's going on in Ukraine, are they not likely to vote against Russia or for Russia if it was all open? And especially if the US, because we've got the US now saying, basically, if you don't go along with our narrative, we're going to sanction you too. I mean, is that fair? Is that a democracy?
Well, that is a fair statement. I think your perspective is exactly true. However, the privacy issue is a super sensitive one at this point, since everyone thinks everyone is lying. So the only way you can fix that, cure it, make an example that it is a true thing, is to do it publicly. If, in fact, it looks like one side is inappropriately pushing others or threatening them if they don't go in a certain direction, that's public. That means journalists have to do their grown-up job, put on their big boy pants and dresses, and help people understand, check this out. It's like a soccer team, a football team stealing the ball or secretly putting, sleeping pills in somebody's Gatorade. So that's really up to us, too, as the Fourth Estate, is that we have to hold accountable the people that are speaking. If we just sit and watch and say nothing, well, then there's bad outcomes. It always have been throughout history.
Indeed. Let's see how things turn out in the next couple of days when they vote. Carrie Harrison, thanks so much for joining me here at RT. Always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you.
Do you need to get your hands on some extra money right now? Maybe $25,000 or more? If you're a homeowner, now is a perfect time to get cash out. While homes in many neighborhoods like yours have gone up in value, you can use the money for anything. It's yours. You can buy an investment property, pay for college, pay off higher interest debt, or make home improvements. A cash-out refinance is the perfect solution to get the cash you need. If you need $25,000, 50,000, or even 100,000. Now's the time. Home values are up, and so is your equity. We offer you a way to use it. No need to sell your home or use your savings. Call New American Funding now and speak to a cash out refi specialist and see how much cash out you can get.
Call New American Funding at 855-221-8524. That's 855-221-8524. Call 855-221-8524.
Uncensored, unexpurgated, and unapologetic. It's the Kerry Harrison Show.
Values are up, and so is your equity.
Yes, I live in Los Angeles. Yes, it's a blue state. Yes, maybe I don't really have to show up. Well, you do. And we're going to get into why that actually affects you, your mother, your dog, and all the other upright mammals, like 340 million of them here in the U.S. Today, I am in Florida, a swing state that looks like a, well, non-turgid phallus, doesn't it? Pointing down like it's defeated and dead. Well, trust me, Ron DeSantis and others are working on their magical voting Viagra to change that around. I'm down here because I'm going to explain to you a situation that has happened that is going to make Greg Palast upcoming, and we'll introduce him in just a couple of minutes, and his film and his DVD, and why this matters, and how you're going to get every bit of school you could have ever wanted for next to nothing that would have cost you 200 grand had you gone and taken this education formally. You're going to get it in less than an hour and walk away with a lifetime of education, plus how the tricks of the trade work. Isn't that what you've always wanted to know? How do they pull this off? How do we end up getting screwed no matter what we do? How many people show up, turn out? So, quick story. I am talking to a German guy yesterday who doesn't understand, never heard of gerrymandering. Maybe you haven't either. Maybe you've heard people talk about it, but do you really know what it is? Never heard of any of these tricks. Doesn't understand why when people show up and vote, it just doesn't happen that way. Well, let's take neighboring Switzerland, the belly button of Europe. France is connected to it. Spain is connected to it. Germany is connected to it. Austria is connected to it. Liechtenstein is connected to it. And pretty much everything else. And you can't really take a train through it unless you pay extra. It's a special place. In there, they have something called, you've heard this word before, democracy. But I'm not saying it like, well, doesn't everyone? They actually have a real one. One man, one vote. They all vote. They all vote. And if they all vote no, it ain't going to happen. Here, we can all vote yes, and then it doesn't happen. And you go, but that's impossible. But it keeps happening, doesn't it? And so there's a reason for that. So I was explaining to him how it works, going back to Elbridge Gerry, going back to the Midwest, and how this guy had found a way to take a section. Let's just take Los Angeles, and let's just break down what gerrymandering is, or gerrymandering as we now call it. If your name is Jerry, it's not personal, trust me. So the easiest way to look at it is you take LA, which is what? Is it like 67 cities really in LA? Like, we don't even really realize that. And you decide that people who are going to vote the wrong way. The wrong way would be not the party that you're in. So you carve up LA with weird boundaries. Let's say you take West Hollywood and you make that a sliver long, but LA starts somewhere in West Covina and ends up in Nevada. And so you have to actually go all the way out there for your vote to count. But it's such a tight sliver that only 7 people can fit in there. Therefore, you can only count on, or you happily get to count on 7 votes coming from there, 7 votes that would vote the wrong way and would matter and would get in your way. So that's basically what it is. You move, you carve stuff up, you make it so tiny populations have no power, and then the thrust of whoever your party is gets to have all the love. And you know what? It's legal, or at least it looks legal until it gets challenged. These are among the very things. This guy was shocked. And I said, don't be shocked, and don't pretend just because you're German, like you don't know. This is Third Reich stuff. This stuff was then stolen from Machiavelli hundreds of years before then. The Vatican, hundreds of years before then. It's been around forever. It just gets fine-tuned. And we're only like 300-something years old in the U.S. We have fine-tuned this bad boy. We know who we don't want to vote. We know who we do want to vote. It's very clear, just like Vlad Putin knows exactly who he wants to vote in Ukraine, and that is the people that he lets vote. And the ones that get publicly counted, all the rest that actually want to leave or do something different, they don't get counted. There it is. Done. Easy. So that's pretty much what we're looking at in the United States. And nobody is above us or below us in this voting game because they're all doing it. Whether you go to Mexico, whether you go to Iceland, it's probably a little more honest there because here's what they do. You're going to hate this. They hold their politicians accountable. Yes, they have, as Boris Johnson had, what's called a scandal, and it's punishable, whether you like Boris Johnson or not. In the United States, you can have a scandal. It's not a scandal. Well, he was a Republican senator, and he had a very wide stance and was tapping his feet 3 feet from the center of his body under 2 stalls in the men's room on the, hidden FBI guy and asking for sex and throwing money under the door. But in fact, what it was is he had a spasm, which caused him to reach into his pocket, pull out cash, fling it as a response to the spasm under the door, having done that as a therapeutic technique so that the money in his pocket wouldn't compress a vein and cause his blood pressure to go up. He loves his wife. Here's a photo of them standing together, holding each other. And the whole American public goes, that's great. And end of story. What a bunch of crap, huh? Carrie Harrison with you. Welcome to KPFK. Welcome to being woke, awoke, awake, enlightened, and wanting more. You deserve more. We as the media owe you an apology. Yep. We need to get on our hands and knees and beg for forgiveness till the rest of humanity for what we have done to you that has put you in this horrible place where you don't know what's going on. You can't understand how you got here. You're asking constantly, well, where do I go to get real news? Because you don't even know. You know that it sucks, but you don't even know where to go. We did this to you. A calculated, planned event. And I'm not saying we, KPFK, we're actually the answer to this. But I mean, where I grew up with Clear Channel and in commercial rock and roll radio, we had a program director who gave us later Rush Limbaugh, Dr. Laura, Glenn Beck. He was in charge of talk show hosts of Earth. And this guy brought us into the room one day, the guy in charge of all talk programming for Clear Channel, now known as iHeart. iHeart, ding, like you're a little 12-year-old. iHeart Radio, iHeart Timmy, iHeart Mildred. Yep, that's the one. They completely knew how to rebrand, didn't they? And you forgot, oh, they were Clear Channel. Jesus. Yeah, so this guy brought us into a room and he said, look, our job is to sell cars. Sure, we can call ourselves News Radio blah, 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 or News this or News that, but our job is to get people to sit long enough to the car commercials. And those car sponsors were paying $7,000 for live remotes on Saturdays, all the rest of it. And I said, but we have a chance to do like what the BBC does, is really inform and enlighten people and put them on their mark and like have the coolest listeners. That is not what we're here to do. Our job is to idiotize the listeners, bring them down to like a 3rd or 4th grade education so they can't tell the difference between a good car and a bad car, between a can opener commercial and dog food made from dead animals that's going to kill our job is to remove from them basic common sense and ability for discernment so that they will buy anything and everything we sell to them. Later, when radio started to become a dinosaur at large, around 2008, when our little friend Mark Zuckerberg came in, same exact model. You get to have 1,000 friends. In real life, you have one. But here you get 1,000 make-believe friends who are idiots, and all they're going to do is gossip, and we're going to sell you only the stuff you like. Hooray, hooray. And now the country wonders how it got there. That's kind of the shortcut. Now the solution. Everyone's favorite giant brain. This brain is so capacious, you could put 40 elephant testicles inside of it, and there still would be more brain. That huge, that well-studied, that analyzed. I'm not going to give you Greg's personal educational backstory, but suffice it to say, if any of us were lucky to have been educated to the level that he has, we would also probably have these skill sets. But because you and I don't, he does. He's also brave. He is willing to go out and conquer and slay the bad guys so that we can end up having a chance to win. What am I talking about? Well, he has put together a new documentary, a documentary so powerful that exposes, that rips the Band-Aid of lies off of the entire state of Georgia. Georgia is just but one, and this documentary just covers that but one, but it does speak to the larger problem systemically around the nation. He's got a new one. You've heard of it already because everyone's buzzing about it. Everyone's talking about it. It's narrated by Rosario Dawson. It's going to be introduced by Martin Sheen. We're going to play that in just a second. It's going to actually be playing next week here in Los Angeles at the Laemmle in West LA. He's also got a DVD of the same film. We're looking at a donation to support KPFK because we can illegally bring on people like Greg Palast. Try getting him on PBS NewsHour. Try getting him on CNN, getting him on Fox, getting him on MSNBC. He is the last thing they want because the Democratic Party at large, along with the GOP at large, and there's no other party, so you got two of the same twins there. They don't want him on saying, well, here's how it actually works. Oh my God, what an upheaval, right? So that's why he's on here, preventing truth decay. And I want to introduce a name that you know so well, Greg Palast. I am so glad you're joining us today, and we're going to get a chance to see your hard work, Greg Palast. And we're going to unmute you, Greg, or ask you to unmute yourself if you would mind terribly.
I'll even unmute myself. That's how special your program is.
Yes.
We're going to keep it on. In fact, I'm going to keep it unmuted throughout the whole program. How about that, whether you like it or not?
Well, I like it. I actually like that.
So thank you, Carrie Harrison. So yes, this is Greg Palast, and if you could see me through your radio, you would know that
you can. So let me jump in and say how they're doing that. Go to Facebook. Go to our KPFK fan page right now. You are going to see this live streaming program. You can go to Greg Palast's fan page. You'll see it there. You can go to mine on Facebook, Carrie Harrison. You will see it live there too. So you'll be able to participate in ways convenient to you. If you're driving and say, well, I'm pulling up, so I got to get out of my car because I got to head into the Ralphs and look at the homeless people on the sidewalk and pretend they're not there. You can take your phone, your mobile phone, and continue by watching the live stream on Facebook and participating. You can also get my free newsletter by going to carrieharrison.com, where you're going to get a copy of this and other cool stuff I dare not talk about on the radio. carrieharrison.com. Greg Palast, you have put together a documentary, probably your favorite to date, called Vigilante.
That's right.
What's it about?
Okay, well, actually, just so to remind you of those who don't remember, Greg Palast, and if you're not on the Facebook Live, I'm that guy in the hat, the fedora that you always see on Democracy Now! And that you hear on Flashpoints. Investigative reporter. I've been doing this. I was with the BBC when I lived in London. I was BBC's investigative reporter in The Guardians, and I've come back to do Rolling Stone and others. But mainly, I am on the Pacifica Network. Specifically, every day you hear me at 5 p.m. Not every day. Once a week, you hear the Election Crimes Bulletin on Flashpoints at 5 p.m. And here we are with Carrie Harrison, Reality Check. Now, I have a special film. Those you may remember my last film, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. Yeah, this one is the one you need right now. It's called Vigilante, Georgia's Vote Suppression Hitman. Now, I got to tell you, you're going to say, wait a minute, Georgia? I don't live in Georgia. I live in, LA. We're just surfer dudes. You don't have to deal with this voting stuff. Oh, yeah, you do, because Georgia is going to pick our U.S. Senate. Do you understand that? It's going to, because there's a dead heat race between Senator Reverend Warnock, the Democrat, and Herschel Walker, the whatever he is, and the Trumpster, and Brian Kemp, the governor, who's having a rematch with Stacey Abrams. He did that election last time, if you remember from my Democracy Now! Reports. Now, this new film, Vigilante, Georgia's Vote Suppression Hitman. I take you into Georgia, and these tricks are being used everywhere, where unlike in California, under a new law in Georgia passed by the GOP legislature, anyone in Georgia can challenge the vote of another Georgian. And I mean unlimited number of challenges, including, we're going to hear one. Well, there's one woman that you hear sometimes who challenged 32,000 voters. 32,000. She couldn't even put it out. She challenged so many By the way, oddly, African American and young voters. Now there's voters of color, the color being blue. And you'll hear me as she throws me out. I didn't dawdle much because she had a loaded shotgun next to her door, a lot of ammo, and her husband had already jumped on me. You'll see this in the film Vigilante, Georgia's Vote Suppression Hitman. And then we're going to hear a clip from this, right, Carrie? I hope we get a clip going.
I'm going to jump in because we have to follow radio format here and let people know what's going on constantly, because they may or may not be seeing it. And if they're listening, they're going to think it's a bad podcast because they're just going to hear voices. So we're talking right now to Greg Palast. You know him from the Palast Investigative Fund. You know him from, well, who knows how many movies.
Democracy Now!, Flashpoints. These are the KPFK shows,
everything.
Right? Yeah.
He is our guy. And we're on here today because we're doing a special deal right now. We're going to make sure that you get a chance to go see his latest film at the Laemmle in West Los Angeles. And it's a small donation, $25. You get to become a member of KPFK, and you get to see his film, and you get to meet Greg. And a lot of people have not. The last time huge amounts of people got to meet Greg was probably back when Bernie was running, and there were tens of thousands of people in the streets, and he got creamed. He got swarmed. He got tackled and knocked down. It was exciting and joyful. So this is a chance also to have one-on-one and Q&A with Greg.
And how do you do it?
That simply isn't available for others. Simply call 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, or 818-985-KPFK. You can also go to kpfk.org, or more smartly, kpfkmovie.org. Did I say kpfkmovie.org? Yes, because there you're going to find not only your ticket, your opportunity to meet Greg Palast in person, but you're also going to get to be a full-time member of KPFK, which gives you unlimited other perks. There's no value like that. If $25 seems like lunch money to you, which is about the cost of lunch for one person in LA right now, then you might want to get the DVD, which is the entire film. Why is the DVD useful to you? Because you're going to get the kind of education they will not teach you at university. They will not teach you in an online course. You're going to get to see, as Greg does in his brilliant storytelling way, using basically acting out the scene and showing you the evidence. You're going to get to see it. And this is the kind of thing where you do a movie night at home and bring out 10 bottles of scotch. And let me tell you, it's a Mr. Toad's wild ride experience. So all of that, you can do a $100 pledge to KPFK, get Greg Palast's DVD, Vigilante. You can do $25 pledge, or do both. If you're being smart about it, get the whole soup, cat, and pizzas simply by calling 818-985-KPFK or 818-985-5735, or go to kpfkmovie.org. And Greg, we are used to watching it because you've actually done all the hard work. We have no idea who you were in front of, what you had to go through, how you often almost lose your life when you do these things for us so that we can know what's going on in the background. Give us a smidge. You're talking about women with shotguns.
Yes. And you'll also, and again, I want to say, I want to give people a warning. This is Greg Palast, and I'm going to give you this warning, and you can ignore it at your peril. If you want to be at the one night showing of Vigilante with me, Greg Palast, and by the way, we're going to have Black Voters Matter Fund there. We're going to have Rainbow Push there. And the whole thing is hosted by the ACLU of Southern California, which means that there's very, very few seats. We'll only be able to sequester a short number of seats for the KPFK family, our supporters. And the only way you can get it, those reserve seats, is by going to kpfk.org and scroll down this page where you can get it, or this one will get you right exactly to the tickets before everyone eats them up. And I'm not kidding, there aren't many, at kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org, and get it now. Don't wait. I mean, you can listen to us talk, but it may be the end of the tickets there. Terry, take everyone's name who, if we run out, we're going to see what we can do. But I would, if you really want to make sure you're going to get in, you better go to kpfk.org or kpfkmovie. That's the quickest. It goes right there, kpfkmovie.org. Now, If you can't make it, don't want to make it, that's next Wednesday, 7 p.m. at the Laemmle in West LA. It's on Santa Monica, right off the 405. You're going to see some of your faves there, some great political activists. We can really have a discussion about how we're going to save this sad thing called American democracy. Now, you're also going to have a darn good, entertaining film. If you listened to Flashpoints last night, you heard the chairwoman of Operation Rainbow Push says, look, it's really entertaining. It's, there's some really grim, hard, harsh stuff to watch. There's a lot of goofy, funny stuff, too. It is a movie. It is narrated by the wonderful Rosario Dawson. It is introduced by Martin Sheen, who is our producer, and George DiCaprio will also be there. And he's helping us bring in some of those other Hollywood folk. Well, thank you, George. I won't say who's bringing along. And we also have Stephen Nemeth and the wonderful Maria Florio, who won the Academy Award for Best Documentary. So you want to see the next one that she's getting her award for. This is the one next Wednesday. And the way to get tickets, kpfk.org. Scroll down, or if you don't want to mess around with the scrolling and stuff, go to kpfkmovie.org for Vigilante. It's that one night. That's it, babies. And then, or you can get the DVD for $100 minimum donation. Now, you're going to hear, Carrie, I don't know which one you have queued up. Do you have the Major versus the Vigilante? Is that going to work?
I have either Marty or the trailer.
Oh, okay. We don't have the other one. All right. So now you're just going to hear, I don't know what's on the trailer where it's the radio one. Let's go to Martin Sheen introducing the film. How about that?
Hello, I'm
Okay.
Sheen, and you are about to see a horror movie. It's about how bloodthirsty vampires have sunk their fangs into our democracy through voter suppression. It's called Vigilante, and it follows investigative reporter Greg Palast as he exposes how Georgia Governor Kemp and his posse have succeeded in blocking the right to vote of more than 250,000 American citizens of color. Suppressing the right to vote is not limited to Georgia by any means. It's spread to Arizona and Texas and Michigan, and it's coming to a state near you.
Roger
and
that,
so
honey.
is this film. It took a great deal of courage for Greg Palast to expose voter suppression, and you can join this heroic effort. And remember, one heart with courage is a majority.
Amen to that. That's Martin Sheen. He's doing the introduction for the movie. As Greg Palast pointed out, you're going to have George DiCaprio, father of fill in the blank. You're going to have a lot of other cool people there who are going to be watching this uniquely for the very first time in America's second largest market, Los Angeles, California, also known as Hollywood, where it's having this unique premiere with Greg Palast on campus in the audience, stepping up and doing Q&A with you afterward. You're going to want to jump in this. What a great way to support KPFK. What a great way to become a member of KPFK and get this extraordinary perk. You're going to get a movie ticket. You're going to get to have live Q&A with Greg Palast and be a member of KPFK, which gives you unlimited ongoing perks. All you do is dial 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, or do the same shortcut that Greg Palast recommended, which is go to kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org. Carrie Harrison with you. This is the Carrie Harrison Show, here every Tuesday from 2 to 3 Pacific Time, 5 to 6 Eastern Time, and a hell of a lot later in European time. But because we also live stream, and we live stream video every single week, where you can see this right here, right now. If you go to Facebook, go to the KPFK page, go to my page, Carrie Harrison on Facebook. You can go to Greg Palast page. You're going to see this stream cross-posting all over right now, live streaming as video for those of you who have to jump out of your car and want to continue, but don't want to lose listening to what we're talking about. And we're talking about voter suppression, why it works, how it works, and why it matters to you. This isn't some weird thing where the colored people in Georgia are getting the bad part of the stick, and we should all, as, you know, wonderful LA liberals, feel kind of bad for the stupid rednecks in Georgia. Oh, no. What Greg has done is he has shone a light on an exact circumstance that is infecting all of us around the United States of America. But it is so appallingly obvious in Georgia that all he had to do was roll cameras, show up, and have shotguns pointed at him. A little different, a little more undercover maybe where you and I live, but it is real. And if you want to be able to predict the future, to understand how things are going, the kinds of tricks and monkey shines people can pull on you, then this is the DVD for you at $100 donation to KPFK at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. You get the entire film. Executive produced by George DiCaprio. You've got Martin Sheen as one of the large time or big league producers, as we use Donald Trump language, because it's always the most descriptive and the best adverbs ever invented. It is filled with incredible talent like Rosario Dawson, who is wagging her tail like a spaniel at being able to narrate this. Why? Because everyone loves and respects Greg Palast. Everyone wants to associate with and support this kind of hard work because no one has the skill sets to pull it off except a guy in a fedora. And that's Greg Palast, who's with us right here, right now.
Okay. A couple things. Again, if you want to get those tickets, and there's very few, go to kpfkmovie.org or just go to kpfk.org, look down, list, or call Terry. He's standing by, 818-985-5735. Let me paint the scene. I think we have the video and audio of it, but if we don't, I'll just tell you what it is. Okay, there's these vigilantes. These are not government guys. These are people who have started challenging thousands of voters. And you'll see in the film one of them who likes to dress like, he likes to dress like a vigilante. Now you might think, and he's challenging voters. Now you might think he's a clown because he walks around. I kid you not. He's got a 6-gun with a pearl-handled 6-gun. He thinks he's Doc Holliday, the vigilante deputy of Wyatt Earp from the OK Corral. He's a Georgian Doc Holliday, and so is the guy who pretends he's Doc Holliday. So Doc Holliday, you'll see him in the film in his cowboy hat and his 6-gun. He's talking about Doc Holliday, how Doc Holliday's a great guy, sophisticated guy, really good guy. Oh, by the way, he shot black men swimming in his favorite watering hole. He didn't like that, so he just gunned them down. That's why he took out for the West and left Georgia. But this vigilante challenged the vote of Major Gamaliel Turner. Major Gamaliel Turner is here in California. Why? Why wasn't he in Georgia? He's a Georgia voter. What is he doing in California? The answer is he's a soldier. He's America's expert on warfare of the future. And he was assigned here in California. And Doc Holliday with the 6-guns challenged his vote. And a lot of other voters, 4,000, mostly African-American soldiers at Fort Benning. Do you like that one? You get to meet the vigilante. And guess who confronts him? The guy. Well, I confront him, Greg Palast, the man in the hat, but also he is in the home of Major Turner, and the Major confronts him. You'll get to meet the Major. You'll also see me again confronting another vigilante about her 32,000 challenges in Georgia. Again, almost all black people, young people. And I show her the pictures. I said, "Do you know this woman?" "Oh, no. But you challenged her right to vote, and you challenged 32,000 other people." This is happening all over Georgia, 250,000 of them. This is the story of the vigilante in chief, Brian Kemp, and you'll see Brian. I did, by the way, have I wouldn't exactly call it an interview. He was ducking me. I find him at a barbecue joint in Georgia, and I say, "Listen, are you removing black people just to win this election? Why do I have to sue you in federal court to find out who you're removing from the voter rolls?" And he had me arrested at the barbecue joint, saying he told the cops that the owner said I was trespassing, and the owner said, "No, I'm going to give you some free barbecue. You're the only guy that's actually asking a real question to Governor Kemp. It's about time someone asked him a question." So this is what you're going to get in the film. You're going to get crazy people with guns. You're going to get crazy, and you're going to get heroic people, and you're going to get the real story of the rulers of Georgia by going to Vigilante. You're going to see the film Vigilante.
KPFKmovie.org.
KPFKmovie.org.
kpfkmovie.org. Go to kpfk.org and scroll down. You can see the DVD, which you, by the way, you can't get, don't start looking on Amazon for it cheap. Don't start looking at a cheap streamer service like Netflix. No, I've only made DVDs. There's no stream. I've only made DVDs for the Pacifica stations because it hasn't been released yet. This is the only way you can get a $100 minimum donation by calling 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, or get a couple tickets, $25 each, to next Wednesday's one-time screening with the ACLU Black Voters Matter at the Laemmle Theater Royal. That's on Santa Monica Boulevard in West LA. But you can only, if you want to get those tickets, you better get them right now. There's very few. $25 each. It also makes you a member of KPFK by calling 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, or go to kpfkmovie.org.
And our lines are lit up because, of course, there's only a limited amount of tickets.
Yeah.
There's only a limited amount of you. There's only a limited amount of Greg Palast. So if you want a chance to meet him live, do Q&A. This is the opportunity to do that. Plus, you get to be a member of KPFK, as he pointed out. Carrie Harrison with you. This is the Carrie Harrison Show. It is about 31. It is the bottom of the hour, as a matter of fact. And we are live streaming as well on Facebook. This will be recorded on Facebook. So if you've only caught part of this show, you can go and catch the entire thing by going to the KPFK Facebook page. You can go to my page, Facebook.com/Go Harrison or Carrie Harrison. You can go to Greg Palast fan page. You can go pretty much anywhere in Facebook and find this. You can also go into the archives afterwards at KPFK and you'll be able to hear this entire show. We're talking right now to Greg Palast, filmmaker, BBC reporter, Rolling Stone reporter, award-winning investigative reporter. And I want to point out, what does that mean? In a world in which liberals, whatever the heck that means anymore, are accused of being spineless and weak and ineffectual and feckless. That's probably the best word to describe liberals. Feckless. They can't pull themselves out of a paper bag. They're very well-meaning, but they can't get beyond charcoal, while the Republicans and the GOP are using beautiful Technicolor and 3D graphics, and we're still like drawing stick figures. Why is that? That's humiliating. Is it actually true? No. Who makes the movies in this town and the TV shows? We know who that is. But somehow we have this reputation of being lazy, untalented, slow motion, feckless, and rudimentary. Greg Palast is an example of how that is simply not true. Yes, he's got something that a lot of us don't. It's called gumption. He's willing to put himself in front of a double-barreled shotgun to get the information back to us. Most people are not. Most Republicans are not willing to do that. So it's the ones that you end up thinking are the superstars, the Bill O'Reillys, the whoever these nut jobs are. But there's a handful. Greg is on our side with that kind of gumption. Thank God he's not sitting at home trying to pick his pronoun. He's out there getting his hands dirty for you and for me. That's why supporting this station matters. 818-985-KPFK, and you, for $100, get to have this DVD. It's yours forever. It's not a loan. You're not leasing it. It's not a rental. It is your DVD forever, captured in time, this incredible moment for the upcoming midterms that will likely be the single most important midterms in all of U.S. history, and how they're about to be suborned right in front of your very eyes, how that happened and what you can do to fix that. You can also get the ticket to go see his movie next week on the 26th at the Laemmle in West LA at 7 p.m. simply by going to kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org. And that is a tiny little $25 pledge. You also get a full-on membership to KPFK, which means perks ad infinitum. Movie Meet Greg. Movie Meet, lots of cool movie stars who are going to be there. Handful of tickets left. So you need to dial right now, 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. You can also go to kpfkmovie.org. Carrie Harrison with you. Get my free newsletter where you're going to get the kinds of stories that we're talking about right here and right now for free. Stuff that I dare not say a lot, including colorful language, on the radio. You're going to get that in my free newsletter. So you want to sign up for that. That's another perk. And that one is absolutely free by going to Carrie Harrison, CaryHarrison.com. Back to Greg Palast, back to your movie, back to your LA premiere with all the big hootenanny movie stars and your DVD. Your film is finally finished. And I was talking to you during post-production.
Yes.
Talk about a guy wearing 48 hats, tongue hanging out of the mouth. I mean, Jesus, Greg.
Well, at least I don't smoke. But it's like anyway, but you're smoking. Anyways, the important thing is we're going to have a film that's just going to blow you away, because this method of eliminating voters, these vigilante challengers. Now, we also go into the history. You'll meet, for example, Martin Luther King's 92-year-old cousin. You didn't even know that he had a 92-year-old cousin who, on her 50th year of going to vote, she actually, after her cousin was assassinated, she was finally able to register to vote with the new Voting Rights Act. She registered to vote. And I was there when they told her, "Scram, old lady, you're not registered in Georgia anymore. You don't live here." So I went to the house that Brian Kemp, the governor, said she didn't live in anymore, with the pictures of King on the wall having dinner with her. Went there every Sunday after church. She was knocked out of her vote. This is what's happening in Georgia. And it's not one or two. It's 250,000 voters chasing that. But the other thing is, we're going to show you something else. There's a movie in a movie. There's a second movie inside it called 2,000 Mules. Now, 2,000 Mules is a film that was launched by Agent Orange, a guy named Donald Trump from Mar-a-Lago, it's a film proving that the election was stolen from him, mainly in Georgia, by black guys stuffing ballot drop boxes. He's got the movies and everything. Well, we take it apart for you. Now, you can laugh, and it's very funny. It's ridiculously funny, except for one thing. If we don't expose their con, that type of accusation against black voters is what's causing the passage of all these horrendous new Jim Crow 2.0 laws, which are preventing black people and others from voting. That could change our next election. And the main thing is, as the black leadership in Atlanta said, Greg, this ain't just about Georgia. We're fighting this in 9 other states at least right now. And in addition, this film is more relevant to 2024, because in 2024 is when they're going to roll this sucker out. And I've done this, if you know Greg Palast, my work. I was the guy that uncovered how George Bush and his brother Jeb removed 58,000 black people from the voter rolls of Georgia back in 2000. Supposedly, W won the presidency by just 537 votes in Georgia, removing 58,000 of those voters. And when they won, I warned people about this from BBC. I warned people about this on Flashpoints, KPFK. I warned people about this on Democracy Now! But the GOP took it on the road. The rest of America ignored it. Well, you don't have to ignore it. It's your chance in a very, very entertaining way to get armed up. To get armed up with the real information by going to see Vigilante, Georgia's vote suppression hitman, kind of featuring Brian Kemp, the hitman himself, and his weird little vigilante posse. They may be weird little vigilantes, but they're knocking off 250,000 voters. And so if you are a KPFK listener, don't tell anyone else about it, because there's just not enough tickets. Don't spread it around somewhere. KPFKmovie.org. KPFKmovie.org. I want to see you there. I'll be there with the ACLU, Black Voters Matter Fund, Rainbow Push, NAACP. Please, this is our moment to plan the counter revolution and take it back from the vote, from the vote heisters. Now,
let's do this, Greg Palast, quickly. We have the trailer for the movie so that you can wrap your head around kind of what the tone and the texture is of this particular movie. This is the trailer, which you know what trailers are from having gone to movies. It's the preview of the upcoming film. This is the synopsis of the film that I think will set the tone, the pace, and the vibe. Investigative reporter Greg Palast has uncovered the most brazen vote suppression scheme yet.
So you didn't call him, but you challenged his right to vote or have his ballot challenged.
Sir, get out of my house.
Okay,
His lie?
Now.
By Brian Kemp of Georgia. His lie that black people commit voter fraud.
Law enforcement is going to their houses and places of employment and making people afraid to go out and exercise their rights.
Clear, we have a visual. Indeed, we have a visual.
And today to come out and not be able to vote, it bothers me to my core.
My life was on the line, I could go to prison. If I just commit suicide, this will be over.
Stop voter fraud.
They raided a voter registration office and tried to send all of these college kids to jail.
Call our voter fraud hotline.
Tonight, Governor Kemp has signed that controversial election bill.
He's created an army of vote vigilantes.
That doesn't mean that you get to levy a charge against thousands of people that you don't even know and get them, removed off the rolls.
Is this an attempt to remove a lot of Democrats, black people from voting?
Get out of my house now.
How did a 280-year-old dynasty turn enslaving Africans and suppressing the black vote into profit and power?
Where are we from? Georgia!
Exactly how many Africans did Kemp's family own?
Are you removing black voters from the voter rolls just so you can win this election?
Vigilante Brian Kemp, vote suppression hitman. An 8-year investigation out in October. A Greg Palast investigation. Produced by Martin Sheen, George DiCaprio, Tom Hartman, and Academy Award-winning producer Maria Florio. Vigilante, that you're going to be able to see on the 26th at 7 p.m. at Laemmle in West LA. It's the latest from Greg Palast, the latest movie that lays out all of this madness that we see going on with voter fraud or it is voter fraud, but it's not real fraud. The frauds are fraudulently stealing the votes from the voters. So it's actually inverted, isn't it, Greg Palast?
Well, that's what they do. They accuse you, and you is usually a young person or a black person, Hispanic versus an Asian American person. They accuse you of fraud because they're committing it. In fact, we even see in the film, because I admit, in the film, look, out of the billions of votes cast, and it is billions in the last decade in America, a few people have been caught committing voter fraud. In the last election, we could only find three Republicans in an old age, in a retirement home in Florida, 3 Republicans who voted their dead spouses. That's pretty icky. But I got to tell you, they got caught right away because it's very hard to commit voter fraud. But we have a guy in the film say, the GOP is claiming that there's voter fraud, and the only voter fraud we found is there are people committing it. So, but the big fraud is the attack. They use this excuse, and it's the attack on the voters that we're going to expose. But it's not, look, this is not a PBS white guys in front of bookcases documentary. This is not a good for you. It's, I got to watch it because it's important or worthy. This is a real movie. And it's weirdly fun, heartbreaking. It is, people have jumped to their feet. We've gotten nothing but standing ovations. We showed it in Atlanta, Chicago, Minneapolis. We're going out to Milwaukee tomorrow night at your sister station, KPFA. If you know anyone up in the Bay Area, 7 p.m. in the Oakland Grand Lake Theater. So please, if you have KPFA listener friends, let them know about tomorrow night, the 19th in the Bay Area. But the 26th, that is a week from tomorrow, a week from Wednesday, we will be showing the film with the ACLU Black Voters Matter at the Laemmle Theater. And the only way you can get tickets, my friend, is by going to kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org. Make that $25 donation to the station. That makes you a member. By the way, the station keeps all the funds. We don't take any of those funds. This is donated tickets, but there are not that many. It's not that giant of a theater, and you want to be at this special one-night Hollywood event showing. So please call now. And if you can't make it, or you want your own copy of the film, again, it's not commercially available. kpfk.org. Get Vigilante, the DVD, for $100 minimum donation. Again, it's all tax deductible because we don't take a penny of that stuff. That's all for the station. Your station, my station, weapon of mass instruction in Los Angeles. And please go right now to kpfkmovie.org.
You're hearing the voice of Greg Palast. Carrie Harrison with you. This is the Carrie Harrison Show. Every single Tuesday from 2 to 3 Pacific Time, 5 to 6 Eastern, and wherever, always on demand, simply by going to the archives. You can go to carrieharrison.com. Sign up for my free newsletter where you're going to get all kinds of cool stuff that is actually forbidden on an FCC licensed station. So you can get the hors d'oeuvre and the entree all in one easy newsletter bite. We're talking right now to Greg Palast, filmmaker, documentarian, BBC investigative reporter, award-winning reporter, and actually quite a genius. I happen to know a lot of his backstory, and I'm jealous, but that's okay. I can never rewind my own age clock, go back and do it over again the way he did. Suffice it to say, he also has the most extraordinary Mrs. Palast, who you're lucky, my friend. You did good, actually. You did good, and now you're doing good for all of us by telling us the stories that we simply do not have access to. That is the job of the media, by the way, which I did clobber, hammer, and beat down early with a bludgeon, with a truncheon. Why? Because we have failed you. We at large, not we at KPFK, but we, the media, have cynically and cruelly robbed you of nutritious information in order to sell crap. And that is unforgivable, and you should never forgive it. But the few in the media, the few left in this country willing to do the right thing and put themselves at discomfort and at peril for your benefit, those are the people you want to support. And a station that puts those people on, like KPFK, is a station you can also support. You can have the DVD of Vigilante for $100. You get to have it, own it, show it. I mean, like, play it so many times that the plastic melts. That's kind of a hot DVD, if you ask me. That's a $100 donation to KPFK at 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. You can also get for $25 a ticket to see Greg Palast's new film, Vigilante, this coming, well, it's in like a week, isn't it now? In the Lemley in West LA at 7 p.m. And it's going to be full of movie stars, full of cool people, and full of Greg Palast, who is going to be doing live Q&A just for you. Closed circuit. It's not him standing out on the street corner licking an ice cream, talking to Mildred, who wants to know which way to Central Avenue. This is only you, only ticket holders, limited screening, limited group of people get to have access for all that time with Greg for a live Q&A. Simply go to kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org, or call 818-985-5735, $25 donation. That's it. And you get to become a member of KPFK, and you get all the perks of being that member on and on and on. kpfkmovie.org or 818-985-5735. And Greg, you obviously are not only thrilled that you get to put out another movie, everyone is thrilled that who's already seen it. We know about the reviews. We know about the buzz. We know that you're running it in San Francisco, in Minneapolis, and in Chicago. I mean, all over the country. It's now gone nuts and haywire. And you're bringing it to Hollywood. Hooray for Hollywood.
One night only. So, and if you want to get more information, you can go to gregpalast.com. You can see some more bits of the film and the trailers where you could see it. And I want to see you there next Wednesday at the Lemley Theater on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Los Angeles. And if you want to get in, then you're just going to have to go to you're going to have to go to kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org, $25 minimum donation to the station. And obviously you'll need 2 tickets. You'll need 4. That's $100. That's cheap. You know, these events, they usually charge like, $200, $400, $500 to show up at these events for these special
like a hockey
showings.
game.
Yeah. And, but I made a big point that I wanted to keep it inexpensive for the donors at KPFK. There's only a few seats. That's why I'm pushing it right now. You can also get the DVD. Go to kpfk.org. You can scroll down. You'll also see the tickets and the DVD. And make that donation. But more important, I want to see you there, and I want you to get the DVD. I want you to spread it around. It's not commercially available, but you can have showings. You can share this DVD because it's our weapon of mass voter defense. I'm telling you right now, this is why do you think Black Voters Matter, Rainbow Push, NAACP are putting on this event? It's because it's the only thing between us and the marauders and vigilantes that have been empowered. And I'm not being partisan, but it is the GOP which is creating these vigilantes. By the way, I don't let the Democrats off the hook. We have one historian saying, the Ku Klux Klan was basically the military wing of the Democratic Party. No one is spared in the Greg Palast investigation.
Let's do this, Greg. Let's bring this around to why this matters to people in LA while they're getting pedicures or maybe meditating or getting their anuses bleached or whatever they think they're doing, because they're so superior to all these other idiots that just, are missing teeth and can't pull it together, thinking somehow they're excluded and they're just watching it like a big TV show. All of the unwoke, unenlightened people all over the planet, where LA is the, crown jewel, the corona, the glands of all that is to be. It is not true. This happens in LA. You just don't know about it. You just don't know about it. And what Greg is doing is he's showing how it works. So when you see it happen in your own neighborhood, and we all remember the last election when I personally got knocked off the voter rolls because I was in the wrong zip code and therefore voting for the wrong party, whatever that meant, even though it was all the Democratic Party. But I was an independent. Why? Because I'm in the journalism business and I'm supposed to be neutral. Well, I got punished for not being registered as a Democrat, and and they wouldn't give me a Democratic crossover ballot or whatever silly name that is. And I had to bring in an attorney into my voting booth to force me onto the roll, which was done on a computer screen, videotape the whole thing. And I'm not kidding, am I, Greg? This stuff is so precious no matter where we live.
Well, in 2020, I was reporting for The Guardian, my original journalistic home, and I did a story on California. You know that Bernie Sanders was shafted out of, are you ready for this? Almost 500,000 votes. I talked to the top experts. We actually did a calculation. And so the Democrats will do this too, but they usually do it to other Democrats, and they particularly don't like, they're not too crazy about the rising Hispanic vote because, especially in California, Hispanic voters tended to vote for T.O. Bernie. So they got hammered by the Democratic Party regulars. And again, this is not about partisanship. This is about, it's not right and left, it's right and wrong. And so I reported on that. So you learn the tricks. And if you think that Brian Kemp's GOP Trump operation of vigilante voters knocking off voters ain't going to come to California, you think that the Democratic Party establishment in California isn't going to take a look at this and try it out. And the GOP in those swing, there, believe it or not, there are Republicans in California, and there are some swing congressional districts. You have to know about this for another reason. This is your America. This is how your Senate is going to be decided in 3 weeks. This is how your presidency is going to be decided. And I'm warning you, it may not be decided by the voters, and you have to know how. I was just on the phone before this with the great Barbara Arnwine. She was the head of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, the big lawyers group. She's from LA, but she's been down in Atlanta, and she said, listen, it's as important for everyone in LA as it is in Atlanta. I go to both. That's where her family is. Her family will be showing up, by the way. She's on the road in Georgia trying to save those votes there and showing the film, my film, Vigilante, Georgia's vote suppression hitman. And by the way, the reason I'm doing this national thing is at the special request of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who actually called me from his hospital bed. He's quite ill. And, we're praying for him, man. But he said, I got to talk to Palast. And he started, saying, you better show this film outside of Georgia because it's a national issue. So that's what we're doing. We're in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Milwaukee, Chicago, and beyond. And, of course, going back to Atlanta. But if you're in LA, man, this is your one night to get together, not only to see the film, but to talk about what we're going to do about it. That's next Wednesday, 7 p.m., followed by Q&A with myself, Greg Palast, and the ACLU, Black Voters Matter Fund, and more. And so I want you to be there. The only way you can get there, please make this call to 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK, or go to kpfkmovie.org. And if they've run out of tickets, we're going to try to figure out a way to get you in. So do leave your name. Tell Terry if he says there are no more. Say, Greg said to leave my name and number, and we're going to try to see if we can hook you up. But please, if you don't make the call, I don't know how you're getting in. So
yeah, and we'll make sure the fire marshal is hammered at some bar so he doesn't know how many people are in the theater. The key is to get you in and get you this education. We've only got a couple of minutes left, Greg, so let's do a hardcore call to action. What we've got here is the greatest deal on earth. It's education, 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 something they can never, ever, ever take away from you. That's for sure. They can take everything, but not what you know. And this is what you know time. You get to have the DVD of Greg Palast's Vigilante film, the latest, that breaks down how all of this stuff is done, how they think about it, how it works, how it translates into different cities around the country, and it shows the players behind. $100 donation to KPFK at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735 gets you this DVD. See the movie. See it, actually. Get the DVD and see the movie. Because when you get the DVD, Greg will not come over and do a Q&A in your living room. He'd love to, but it ain't going to happen. So if you want to meet
well, Greg, I don't know. If you go on our Facebook page, ask me some questions. I'll work it out because I want to join you. Just think of me. Think of my. Just you know what you do? You find a fedora, and you put it. You put it on, and you find a fedora and you put it on your spouse's noggin, and then you ask the Greg Palast lookalike some questions. Record that and send it to our Facebook page, Greg _
I love it.
Palast.
We're down to like 30 seconds, Greg, so we're just going to finish up. Get the ticket, see the movie next Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Laemmle in West LA. You're going to meet Greg. You're going to meet George DiCaprio. You're going to meet a lot of cool people. You're going to see a killer, amazing film, one night only in LA. Go to kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org, kpfkmovie.org. You can also buy the tickets directly through us at $25. A $25 pledge gets you a full-on, full-time membership to KPFK and all its perks at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Carrie Harrison with you. This is the Carrie Harrison Show. Looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday from 2 to 3 Pacific, 5 to 6 Eastern, here on KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Greg Palast, for joining us today. And we can't wait to hear, well, I will call you up and find out how your screening went, because I think I'm still trapped in Florida. But through you, I will live my better life.
DeSantis ain't letting you out.
All right. Bye, you guys. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.
This is the Carrie Harrison Show. CarrieHarrison.com. Like NPR on acid.
Do you need to get your hands on some extra money right now? Maybe $25,000 or more? If you're a homeowner, now is a perfect time to get cash out. While homes in many neighborhoods like yours have gone up in value, you can use the money for anything. It's yours. You can buy an investment property, pay for college, pay off higher interest debt, or make home improvements. A cash out refinance is the perfect solution to get the cash you need. If you need $25,000, $50,000, or even $100,000, now's the time. Home values are up, and so is your equity. We offer you a way to use it. No need to sell your home or use your savings. Call New American Funding now and speak to a cash out refi specialist and see how much cash out you can get.
Call New American Funding at 855-221-8524. That's 855-221-8524. Call 855-221-8524.
Are you moving cross-country? You've heard the horror stories about some moving companies. Rude employees show up who aren't careful with your valuables and may even lose them. Then, after their poor, unprofessional service is complete, you get to pick up the pieces while moving into your new home. At 1-800-PACK-RAT, we've got a much better method. You start by calling us for your free no-obligation quote. When you're ready, we'll drop a container off at your location. You pack your valued possessions at your leisure. They stay safe at your home. When you're ready, just call us. We'll pick it up and give you a schedule date of when your furniture and possessions will be at your new home. Our all-steel portable storage and moving containers ensure your items are safe and secure, because our top priority is providing the best customer service in the industry.
Call 855-348-4699 now for your free quote. That's 855-348-4699.